Hello and welcome to Always Classy and Elegant. I am Brandy, your host, coach, and mentor, and I am here to help you get the knowledge and tools you need to be your best self. And I know I've been away for a while, and that is because life events have been taking place. There's been a lot of activity in my life over the past few months with family obligations and events and things. So I do try to do these videos once a week. However, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. However, I am back to continue our series on dating with class and elegance based off of my book of the same title. And this video is specifically about cleaning up your online presence in preparation for dating. And even though I'm speaking to this as part of the dating preparation boot camp, really these principles apply to your online presence in general. So what I'd like to do is basically, first of all, set the stage for why this is so important, and then I've got some tips that I want to give you. So basically, this is so important because a lot of times your online accounts, your profiles are the first visual representations of who you are. That, in a lot of cases, is the first point of communication that you have with others. And whether you know it or not, people are looking at your online accounts, and potential dates may review your online accounts to get a better sense of the type of person you are. So it is likely that your online accounts are being reviewed and judgments are being made about you based on what people see. Now, you can't control everybody's opinions or perceptions. What you can do is control the information that you put out about yourself. So with that, I've got 4 practical tips that I want to give you to help you evaluate and, if needed, clean up your online presence. So let's start with tip 1, which is auditing your online profiles. And you need to look at all of them. And when I mean say all of them, I mean all of them. Anything from a Facebook to an Instagram account to Snapchat, if anyone is still using that, to LinkedIn. If you've created a profile to post anything on online forums like Reddit, you need to look at those as well. And basically, you want to delete any posts that do not reflect who you are at the present. You want to delete anything that can be considered offensive or controversial. And if you're unsure, my rule of thumb is if you are in doubt, wipe it out. So if you have to ask, if you're not sure about, okay, might this offend some groups or not, go ahead and delete it. And then also you want to update your profile pictures. Make sure that they reflect what you look like today, not 5 years ago. Make sure that they are tasteful and not revealing things that you wouldn't reveal in real life. There's someone who does podcasts, and they like to make fun of the ladies that do the back shots. So you want to make sure that you don't have any of those types of profile pictures or photos posted, period. And again, if you are in doubt, ask a trusted friend. If you don't have a trusted friend that you can ask, well, book a coaching session with one of our ACE, Always Classy and Elegant coaches, and we're more than happy to give you real-time objective feedback. Lastly, make sure that your bios are positive and that they are up to date and that they're accurate. Do not lie on your online profiles. Whether, I hope you're not posting your age, but if you are, remove that. Don't make up things about what you do or what your interests are, because while we're going to get into the next thing, which is managing the content, you want to make sure that it is an accurate reflection of who you are, what your interests and beliefs are. Last thing, Google yourself. Type your name. If you use more than one name, type all your names into that search bar separately and perform some searches on your name to see what pops up and address anything that does not reflect the image that you are wanting to portray or anything that is inaccurate. And with the maturation of AI, you might want to consider putting your name into a platform like ChatGPT and seeing what pops up there. And again, address or remove anything that is inaccurate, unflattering, or does not represent who you are today and the image that you want to put forward. Okay, step 2 is your content. You want to curate it carefully, but before I jump into more details on that, I do want to set the stage here. So you want to think of your online accounts as your brand, and stepping back even further, the moment you create a profile and the moment you post something under that profile or to a forum or on somebody else's profile, you have created a brand for yourself. And what you want to do with your brand is you want to manage it like businesses manage their brand. In that, I mean that they require prior approval for use of their name and use of their logos, anything that bears their likeness. You want to do the same. So this might seem a little controlling or micromanaging. However, when it comes to your reputation, it is worth it. I know that there are some women out there that must review and approve every photo that even a friend may take at a gathering of them. They will go to extremes like making sure that they touch up their makeup and comb their hair before taking any photos or selfies, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is you managing your brand to the degree that you feel comfortable with. But it is okay for you to ask anyone who might be taking photos of you at an event if you can see them and approve them before they post them to social media. And that being said, you may want to set up in your settings a approval requirement for any photos or anything that someone wants to tag you in, because if they tag you in it and it shows up on your timeline or even on theirs, it's your brand, and you want to make sure that anything that is out there is serving your brand positively and not taking away from that. Additionally, so I mentioned reviewing photos that others take of you, the story, your brand story. So I go into this more in my book. So if you want more details about that and how to create your brand, do check out my book, which I'll link below. But as you are evaluating your accounts, ask yourself, what story am I telling, or what story does this tell of me? And if it's anything that does not coincide or align with the story that you want to tell about yourself, well, then remove it. I have a few do's and don'ts for you that go along with that. And before I jump into the do's and don'ts, however, really quickly, with reviewing the story that things are telling about you, of course, you want to make sure that they make a good impression, but consider anything that's a post or captions as well. You want to make sure that those are reflecting your values and your true interests and your personality. So now into the do's and don'ts. Do highlight your hobbies, your personal interests, and any talents. So if you can sing and sing well, that's a great thing to go ahead and highlight. However, you want to make sure that you are not oversharing your personal information. And I'll get into this a little bit more with security, but don't overshare. People don't need to know the nth level of detail about your life, nor do they need to know very personal information about you that could be used to steal your identity or that could alienate people. So that brings me to step 3. You want to secure your privacy. And this is important more than ever today because of the information that we may knowingly or unknowingly, sorry, there's a gnat in here. I don't know where he came from, but for some reason, he just all of a sudden wants to fly around my face. So annoying. But in this digital age, we put a lot of information out about ourselves, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. So You want to protect your privacy, and in doing so, make sure that your accounts are secure. So how do you do that? Well, one, you can choose to adjust the settings on your accounts to make it so that you control what strangers can see, and maybe you make your account private altogether so that only friends or those that you are connected with can see the things that you post. Also, adjust your settings on platforms like Instagram or Facebook to limit the exposure of your personal information. So this can be information such as where you live, maybe where you work. In fact, you might want to avoid posting personal information altogether, such as things like your birthday, the city in which you live, the industry that you work in or where you work. Maybe you want to make sure that you don't include that in anything that you might post, especially because employers like to review social media accounts as well, and you would not want anything to pop up that does not align with their brand, and that could potentially get you in trouble with your employer. So avoid posting any information about yourself to where someone who is maybe a scammer can go to this account and grab your birthday and this account and get your city that you live in and another account and find out who your siblings are, and eventually be able to piece together enough information about you and then steal your identity. Another thing that I want to state about protecting your privacy is, and this can also be related to oversharing, is when you're on vacation, you may not want to mention that you're on vacation until you get back. Anyone who's close to you that may know you and know where you live, eh, unless they're a very close, trusted friend or family member, you probably don't want to advertise when you're going to be away from your home, because you're basically, you could be inviting people to, hey, come rob me. I'm not here. This is how long, this is where I'm at. There's no way I'm going to be able to get back to secure things or stop anything. So again, that goes into oversharing, but also privacy. You don't need to share your every move on your social media accounts. And I'll take this a step further with protecting your privacy, but also your brand. When people post everything they do, and they're posting multiple times a day, and hey, I'm at the grocery store, hey, I'm at this restaurant, this is what I'm eating, oh, this is what I'm doing tonight, that can come off as attention seeking, and that can be a deterrent for potential spouses. So again, be mindful about what you post, how frequently you post, and secure your accounts. And maybe you just change your settings on your social media accounts so that strangers can't see your accounts at all. They must be a friend. You must accept a request from them in order for them to review your information. So, additionally to securing your online accounts, passwords. Use strong passwords. In fact, I'm putting on an IT hat here. You want to use a passphrase, and ideally, don't use the same passphrase for all of your accounts. That is just giving a hacker free access to your life. So use a passphrase that cannot be easily guessed by someone who's got even a moderate amount of information about you, but use a password that's complex and that only you know. And also, you want to use a good, complex password that applications, I think they call them brute force programs, that scammers or hackers have designed to guess your password, and they force their way into your accounts once they crack one of your passwords. So again, be mindful about what you are putting onto your accounts and who you're allowing to access them, and your own access. And then additionally to your own access to your accounts, as far as goes your passwords, set up MFA, multi-factor or two-factor authentication. That helps add security for your for your account so that hackers or scammers can't easily break in and steal your information, and review them regularly. Don't be like I unfortunately admit that I have been in the past. I hate to change a password. It's so inconvenient, especially if you don't remember what on earth you just changed it to. I know it's annoying, it's inconvenient, but change your password every so often. It really will help to protect your privacy. Okay, on to step 4, monitor your digital representation. Or excuse me, your digital, well, yes, your digital representation, but your reputation as well. So, ladies, something that I want you to consider is that with monitoring and cleaning up your online presence, it's not just a one and done type of deal. It is an ongoing process. So you want to make sure that you periodically check what's out there. Review your social media accounts, all of them. Make sure that there's not something posted to your account that you weren't aware of it, because I think we've probably all have had those instances where you log into an account, particularly Facebook, and especially if you haven't been online into that account in a while and you see something and you're like, what the heck is this? Where did this come from? Who is this? I can't stress enough. Monitor your accounts on a regular basis, whether it's quarterly or at minimum biannually or twice a year. Make sure that you are checking what is out there on your accounts, checking the security, making sure that your profile information is up to date and that you're not sharing information that you don't want to share, like your birth date, city, God forbid your address or your phone number. And again, periodically Google or chat GPT yourself to see what pops up and address anything that is unflattering or that should not be there. And let's see, so you can do it as frequently as monthly if you'd like, but please do it at least twice a year. And if you've never done it at all, do be aware it can take you some time to get everything cleaned up the way that you would like to, but it is worth doing it. In fact, if I recall correctly, I don't remember how many years ago this was, but Kiki Palmer was a guest on somebody's talk show, and she was looking at some other celeb's account with them, or they were looking at her account and they were commenting on how it always seemed fresh and new. And she was saying at least every 4 years, or that she would delete anything that was 4 years old just to make sure that her account was fresh and that it reflected who she feels like she is at the time. So that's another rule of thumb or thing that you can think about. And let me see, I just want to make sure that I am hitting everything here. I think that's pretty much it as far as goes my recommendations for you. So once again, just to wrap things up, although I'm relating this to dating because ideally, and let me circle it back to why this is important for dating, you do not want to find yourself in a situation to where potential suitors or your potential spouse is off put and turned away from you by something that you have posted online. You want to set yourself up for success by setting yourself up to be able to have someone get to know who you truly are, and you get to know them in turn as well. You want to minimize your exposure to being judged adversely by something that was maybe misinterpreted or misrepresents who you actually are. So clean up those accounts. And additionally, you don't want to find yourself in a situation to where maybe you've started a courtship and then somebody decides to look at your accounts, and then you find yourself in a situation where you have to explain yourself. This happened to me. It is not fun to be in the hot seat, and so I'm sharing with you now what I wish I would have thought of or known then, but I'm sharing it with you now so that you can be set up for success. So that is all I have for today. Again, clean up your social media accounts and then monitor them to make sure that they are reflecting your personal brand and the image that you want to portray, and so that people don't see you for what they either misinterpret or their perception of something, but they see you for the amazing woman that you are. So again, as a reminder, I touched on this just briefly earlier, but I want to come back and circle back to this. Even though we're talking about managing your social media accounts as you would, as a business would manage its brand, you still want to be authentic. You still want to show who you are as an individual. So this does not mean trying to be like someone else. It does not mean trying to curate a highlight reel that is based on falsehoods or misconceptions. You don't want to be an imposter. Be authentic, be who you really are, but understand that some things about yourself you need to keep close to your heart. There's some things about you that should be reserved only for people who are in your close inner circle, and then there's things that you would reserve only for that dear one that's in your heart, your potential husband. So keep that in mind so that you don't come off with that representation as though you're for the community, you're for the streets. You don't want to be that woman. You want to be that woman that is a rare find, and that man's got to work. He's got to dig to get to you and work to get the valuable gem that you are. So one more reminder, if I hope you found this helpful. I do go into this topic in much more detail in my book, Dating with Class and Elegance. Ladies, it's only $37, just a $37 investment for information that can change your dating experience all the way around and really potentially change your life. So if you want more information, check that out. And again, as a reminder, if you feel like you need a little bit more help with cleaning up or curating your social media accounts, book a coaching session with one of our ACE, Academy of Class and Elegance, ACE for short, coaches. We're more than happy to help you, and we can help you because we've been where you are, we've sat in your seat. We are now where you are trying to go. So our coaches are experienced and married, so you get information from individuals who have a track record to prove that they know what they're talking about and know what we're doing. So I hope this all helps you, and I want to wrap up this video, but before I do, another friendly reminder for you. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more tips on not just dating, but also on class, elegance, and etiquette, because that's what this channel really is about. It's about class and elegance, based, or the class, elegance, and femininity that you can cultivate through applying etiquette. So if you want more information, go ahead and subscribe, and you can check out my website as well. So that is it, all I have for right now. So for the moment, I will bid you adieu. But before I do that, I want to remind you to always keep it classy and elegant. See you in the next video. Take care.